Imposter syndrome is costing you in your career. In this video, we're going to explore how to lessen its power in your life so that you can start to move on in your career. Josh Sutton here, career confidence coach, helping people to accelerate their career progress in an authentic and genuine way. So let's dive in. What is perfectionism? Well, it's a form of imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is a general belief that you aren't worthy of success, and any success you do have came about by accident or external factors, wasn't down to you. Now, there's 5 different types of imposter syndrome, 5 different ways that we might respond to it and make ourselves feel worthy. And those 5 ways are: we have the superhuman, the soloist, the experts, the natural genius, and the perfectionist. And we're going to be looking at the perfectionist today. What's a perfectionist? Well, it's a way of justifying our perceived inadequacies by getting everything just right, just perfect. We then use that hard work and we put it as justification as to why we are worthy of success. It looks a little bit different for everybody. Now, there's 2 other things that kind of come with that, and these are that people generally will set impossibly high standards for themselves, and that they will never really believe that their efforts are enough. If you're a perfectionist, you'll be able to resonate with a lot of that. Now, where does it come from? This isn't counselling or therapy, but often it comes from having a really overly critical parent or teacher or role model in our life that really picked us up on all those small mistakes we make. Often happens during childhood, can happen as an adult as well, where their love or appreciation of you is withdrawn whenever you made a small, tiny mistake. It's also a way of trying to keep control within a situation. So that's how it kind of comes about. Now, it can be useful to think of perfectionism in a bit of an illustration, a bit of a graph. So let me show you this. A lot of people, they think perfectionism looks something like this. If this is a level of performance, then they'll say, well, this is an unacceptable level. This is a good or an acceptable level of performance. And then this is kind of excellent level. And we can move between that. You know, good has got a wide range of acceptable levels within there. What a lot of people think is that perfectionism is just doing more. It's about having a higher and higher and higher standard. But it's not. Perfectionism is actually saying, well, it doesn't matter how much I do. It never really feels enough. I never really feel like I'm worthy of the success that comes my way. And it doesn't matter how much is added on. It will still never feel enough. So it's not about, and this is one thing where we drive home today, is that perfectionism is not about reaching a certain level. It's about coming to accept that you are enough and that you are worthy of the success that you're achieving, because adding more on, getting it even more perfect, is not going to solve the underlying mindset that perfectionism is. So how can perfectionism hold you back? Quite a few ways. Let's have a look at some of them. So it might be a fear of failure, where even the small mistakes feel like massive personal failures. What's the impact of this? You avoid taking risks, you avoid trying new things, you really limit your growth, your own personal growth, your own professional growth, and you limit the opportunities that you will then go and seek. Often in professional settings, you won't go for that promotion, you won't do that thing that feels a little bit risky in case you get something wrong. How else? Well, you might have a fear of feedback. This is a massive one, a real dislike of being criticised in case it confirms that you aren't as good as how you truly believe that you are. So even constructive criticism feels like a massive personal attack on you. What's this mean? What's the impact? Well, you'll avoid seeking opportunities where you might get some critical feedback. You avoid putting yourself in the firing line of people saying, could have done this better, in case it confirms your suspected inadequacy. So avoid those opportunities again. It might be, and often does, lead to burnout and overworking, where you just try and again get it absolutely perfect. Add the next bit on. If I just do this, then it'll be okay. So it leads to burnout really quickly. Not because you're working long hours, although it can be that. It's because it's that constant stress in the mind of, this isn't good enough. This still isn't good enough. I'm still not good enough. And again, leads to exhaustion, reduced productivity. You start to resent the work that you do. Not a good place to be in. And finally, you might feel like a fraud, that you believe success is due to luck or others not really seeing your flaws. And that is kind of the case generally for imposter syndrome, but definitely for perfectionism. You work to get things perfect so that you cover your feelings of not being enough. And then when everything does go your way, well, it's just because you covered over the cracks, not because you're actually worthy of it. Loads of other ways it can hold you back, but there's just some. So how do you get rid of perfectionism? How do you reduce its impact in your life? Well, we should say first that actually there are really some kind of good traits about perfectionism, maybe a bit controversial, but what does it look like to the outside world if you are a perfectionist? Well, you look hardworking, you get things done, it looks like you care about your work. So we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We want to keep these things in, but we want to get rid of that overall sense of dread or not wanting feedback or holding ourselves back in our careers. 3 ways we're going to do it: identity, the 80-20 rule, and finally, sitting on the scale. You might think, I don't fancy that, Josh. Just bear with me. So let's have a look at the first one, identity. When it comes to perfectionism, we've got to remember perfectionism is a form of imposter syndrome, which is a series of stories you tell yourself that have become your truth. They are not the truth. They're just truth that you have decided to adopt for yourself. So things like, if I just did this, then I'd be satisfied. How about, if I don't get this perfect, I've failed. I know it'll make a little difference to others, but it's me that'll know. I hear that one with perfectionists a lot. How about, I'm a perfectionist, but that's okay. It's just having high standards. How about, let me just check or triple check that again before I send it. Maybe it's an email, maybe it's a presentation. Let me just check it again for the 15th time. Let me just get so-and-so to check it again for the 20th time. We don't trust ourselves to get it right. How about, everyone expects high standards of me. I can't let them down. All of these are stories that we're telling ourselves. They aren't truths. There are truths. How about finally, I know everyone said I was brilliant, but there's that part that I could have done better, that negativity bias where we're drawn towards some of the negative aspects of our performance. These are all stories. They are not truths. They are things that you have decided to believe. Fine, Josh. So what? Well, we need to take them and we need to examine them and rewrite them. So to overcome this, we're going to challenge these assumptions. Let's say, for example, we take the one we say, well, if I just did this, then I'll be satisfied. And we consciously, through journaling, through meditation, through deliberate practice, being intentional, we change it to this. We say, in our own mind, there will always be something else to add, most of which will make little difference. How about, no way am I taking on that new thing. I barely know anything about it. Fear of not getting it right. We change that in our minds to taking on new opportunities. Getting things wrong is a key part of growth, which is a requirement for learning and experiencing new things. Different mindset shift. We've got to be subjecting ourselves to it, exposing ourselves to it on a regular basis so that we begin to believe it. How about this as a final example? Let me just triple check that again before I send it. We change that to, being careful is okay, but overchecking everything is not a good use of time. Challenging these underlying assumptions and exposing them for the lies that they are. How about the 80-20 rule then? A really great way to start to unpicking the power of perfectionism in our lives. So the 80-20 rule, some of you may have heard of it. It's known as the Pareto principle, and it suggests that 80% of effects come from 20% of causes. So 80% of a company's revenue comes from 20% of the customers. 80% of complaints might come from 20% of customers. 80% of happiness in our life might come 20% from 20% of the things that we do. That 80-20 rule, and it applies in so many areas of our life. And it applies to perfectionism as well, because I'm going to draw you a couple of graphs here which will illustrate my point. So we've got a graph here for effort and a graph for results. Now, the 20% effort usually produces 80% of the result. So whether that's in a work situation or an event that you're planning, whatever it is the project that you're working on, 20% of the effort usually results in 80% of the results. Now, perfectionism lies here. It really lies in the remaining 80% of the effort, but it only produces a little bit extra result in terms of quality. You get diminishing returns with every little bit of effort that you put in. And you will know, you will have met people who they just go and go and go. They work and work and work. I've had friends who have done that for projects and have spent countless hours on these extra things. And it increased the result by so marginal amounts that nobody even noticed. So we've got to realise and get to a point where we're happy to say, actually, there's going to be a trade-off here where actually after a while, the extra effort I'm putting in isn't really worth the results. So keep the 80-20 rule in mind. And finally, sitting on the scale, again, going to be a little bit controversial here. Sometimes a little perfectionism pays off. What do I mean by that? Well, it depends what kind of level of detail is required. And I've put it as a scale here from 1 to 10. So, for example, how much perfectionism is needed for how we place our rubbish in a bin. Now, if you have to place rubbish in a bin in an exact way every single time, or you lose it, you might have something along the lines of OCD. And it's probably worth seeking professional help, okay? Because it shouldn't really matter. It just goes in. There's no level of kind of perfectionism required. Getting dressed, still, you care about your appearance, but does it need to be absolutely millimeter perfect? Maybe a tie, maybe the length of your shoelaces? No, you're just getting dressed. So more probably effort than how rubbish is placed in a bin, but not getting that kind of level of perfectionism high that it needs to be. How about parking in a parking spot? Well, yeah, we want it to be neat, we want it to be tidy, we don't want to park over the line, don't want to be inconsiderate to others, but again, doesn't need to be millimeter perfect on either side. How about putting monthly reports together at work? Now, this may be something that you need to put a little bit of extra time into. Fine, but does it need to? This is an easy project where you could spend hours and hours and hours getting it absolutely perfect for no payoff or very little payoff. So this is some of the things that could easily run away on the perfectionism scale, but we need to say, actually, this is where it sits. Maybe it does need to sit higher or lower for you, but that might be somewhere in the middle. How about organising a surprise birthday party? Higher up on the scale, want to get it right, need to put some effort into it. And then what about the events or the things that are really high up? And this will be different for everybody. Now, I put something like preparing for a dream job interview. It might be preparing for a wedding, something like that, where it's really high up. Now, look, on all of these things, I don't think there's anything that should really be a 10 out of 10. There has to be a point, even when planning your own wedding, even when preparing for a job interview, there has to be a point where you say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I've done everything that I can to make this as good as it possibly can anymore, and I'm not going to look forward to the wedding. I'm actually going to over-prepare for the interview and make myself nervous. There's got to be a point where you say enough is enough. So even if it's a 9.9, I don't think anything should be a 10, my personal opinion, because that suggests that you can keep going forever. So bearing that in mind. As you can see here, things that are kind of routine and not so important are lower down. Things that are more one-off tend to be high up. When it comes to a project or something that you're wondering how much level of detail do I put into this, typically if you become a perfectionist over it, you have to decide where you want to sit on the scale. Is this worth being higher up? Or actually, does it need to be lower down? Yes, I'm going to put in effort. Yes, I'm going to care about it. But it doesn't need to be as high up on the scale as maybe I am putting it. Okay, so let's put it all together. 4 actions you can take from this video. Number 1, identify where you're held back with your own perfectionism. Perfectionism looks slightly different for every single person, how it holds you back, the way you're speaking to yourself. So identify specifically where it is holding you back. Second, challenge and change the stories that you hold about your own perfectionism. Really important to do that work to say, well, where am I being held back? What are the lies that I've believed that have caused this perfectionism? And what's an alternative way of viewing them? What can I be saying to myself on a regular basis that will unpick some of the perfectionism in my life and the impacts that it has? Third, decide on the scale. This is when you get to a particular project, a particular thing you want to work on. Decide on the scale where you want to sit and where you want to be for specific tasks and agree to it and don't go above it. And finally, and my challenge to you, and I'd love to hear you do this, decide on an action, just one, that you are going to take that will challenge the way that you do things, and where you would normally be held back by perfectionism, you're just going to go for it. Maybe you only check an email once. Maybe you do your presentation or a monthly report, whatever it is at work, and you don't overly check it and overthink about it. You just put it together and run with it. It will seem scary. That's the point. You're challenging your belief that if you don't put the perfectionism in, then it's all going wrong and you won't be worthy of it. Do something that's going to be a challenge to yourself so that you can start to unpick the power that it has over you. And then you can in a position to go and do other scary things, like go for that promotion, like have that difficult conversation, and really begin to accelerate your career. I'm Josh Sutton, Career Confidence Coach. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.